I know that's right.
Topic driven.
Okay.
But when one takes
A word.
I'm not so wide, can't feel my screen.
Right.
No walls.
I thank you for listening to.
All right, and welcome. Hello, you guys. Welcome. I'm looking at Miss Pretty Wings. Thanks for dropping in. I have L Blue. Hope all is well with you. And I can see that Vibrant Law had dropped in. Are you still here, Vibrant? um, so how are you guys doing? I dropped in. I came into. I want to cover a couple topics, and I'm glad I got some people in the chat that can engage with me or whatever. I urge those that are in the skybox to drop down, okay, and acquaint yourself with me, and perhaps you can add to the discussion. And the link is dropped. Okay, so I do that by practice, you guys. I always drop my link. Um, for the most part, that's a rule. Okay, I see you on Vibrant. Looking for you. Okay, I'm good, y'all. Hope all is well with you. Yeah. So I want to go over these terms. These are terms you would think that we're all familiar with the terms because we kind of use them in our everyday life. We always reference them, like we never really get away from them. But sometimes things get lost in the damn sauce. Let's see. So we're in a sector where people beef a lot or whatever, and it's predominantly black, but it's not all or exclusively black American. And sometimes the beef occurs between um, people of the same racial class, but of a different ethnicity. And during these beefs, sometimes people go dark, okay, in ways that, well, I'm going to describe it as dark. It comes off as dark to me. And dark could also mean like very, very mean to me. It can mean extremely nasty. Um, Sometimes, like what I consider dark to me is personal. Um, it's something that just should not be said. So I do acknowledge that, like in these little beefs, it quickly becomes like a cultural war between the individuals. Let me take this down. Give me a second, you guys. All right, where am I? My stream yard is sluggish. A lot of times people think I'm figuring shit out, but no, I'm actually waiting on when I'm pressing these functions in StreamYard, I'm waiting for it to go through because my device is so sluggish. Okay, so yeah, it quickly becomes this cultural war thing, and people kind of weaponize xenophobic shit, and this is what they do. I just know it's not something that I do. This is what I know. Also, but I'm not foolish enough to think that it's on one side because I often see it on both sides. And I wonder if the other side know, that I sense it or not, or that because I'm thinking if I sense it, other people sense it, and they're just like, no, um, you say offensive shit too. You just don't know it's offensive. I guess because no one really comes out and tell you. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like tacky to me. So it's not anything that I jump at. I don't jump to go there. You know, first of all, I don't want to even. It's look, it's predominantly black, so the chances of, like if you beef in the sector, the chances of you beefing with a black person is higher than any possible right scenario, right? So we all follow that. But yeah, like I definitely don't want to be tied up in this shit. And I try to stay keep myself out of it. But I don't like the nasty directions that things go. Especially when people talk about like people being illegal. Pe- I don't see people like that, and I don't see black people like that. Like people aren't illegal in my eyes. Like they have to find a better way to explain these things. Yeah, like what they're talking about, but illegal wouldn't even be the word. But yeah, it's shit like that, like to vilify shit like that. I feel like we get a lot of that. But we also make some mistakes. So let's go over some of these damn terms. We talk about nationality and okay, so you guys, I'm gonna give you a mix. I'm gonna give you the dictionary definition. I'm not reading it, but I know the definitions. So I'm gonna put it in my own damn words. So you're gonna get some objective truths and you're gonna get my personal experience and how I come to regard like these things. But nationality. Um that's like that represents your status like of the country in which you belong to. And I'm putting that in a nutshell. You know, sure, like it's related to citizenship and shit like that. And from nation to nation it differs, right? Okay. So it's not this universal thing, okay? Like in how it's applied, right? And what protections and what rights are offered. Like that would, you know, vary from nation to nation. Okay, so that's kind of quickly, you know, I'm rushing you guys, but quickly, that's my view on nationality, how I view it in a nutshell. Okay, the race thing, you guys. Um, of, okay, so race is a social construct. It is. Like I'm not here to tell you anything different than what it is. I'm not playing in your face. When I say a social construct, I'm talking about like gender. Like gender is it's a social construct. I'm not saying there's nothing real about it, but it is a social construct. And so because science tells us that there's only one race and it's called the human race, and we're of very varying different shades and features in that one race. Okay. So yeah, so the different races of black and shit like that. Sure, I recognize that, but all this is supposed to be. It's not even. It's supposed to be based on genetics, but it's not. You know what I mean? So these are these arbitrary classifications that a white man created um, that supposedly create like categories, like of groups, and of course this should um, it's flawed. Of course it's flawed. Okay, like of course it's flawed, and also race varies from nation to nation too. You know, I'm not saying that every nation has its own standard, but it does vary from nation to nation. We've seen examples like that even recently. When people from Egypt, men from Egypt come and live in America, or people from Morocco come and live. These people, when they were in their homeland, was identifying as black. But when they came here, even in the case with the Egyptian dude, and he didn't have four type C here, but he had Afro texture here. Like in other words, his hair had enough kink that he can get an afro out of. Okay, and yeah, he was lighter complected, shit like that. But once he came here, they forced him on paperwork to identify as Caucasian, and he went through a whole lawsuit. So you guys can look that up. So I mean, race it's flawed. The whole thing that we use in terms of race is flawed. So I don't put a lot into that. I really don't. It depends on the context and what the discussion is. But if it's talking about progressive shit, like I become like least like racial. Like I'm more about like yeah, like it's not about I need to unify with everything that moves that is black. But I'm thinking like no, I need to move with everything of the same mind, of the same mindset. This is why I naturally say hello to you guys just about every day. Say hello, Skinfold. Okay, I'm just not so anchored to race as some people are. Let me look into this chat. I'm sorry, but that's how I can focus when I turn away from this damn chat. I'm saying I'm listening to it. Okay, so the only new person is Molly. How you know Molly? Let's see. It's a very George W. Bush as mindset. International. The country you are a citizen of right American. If you are a black person living in Montreal, and that's it. Right, exactly. Um, and in anthropology, of course, I learned something fascinating. The difference between races are small, but they happen to be most visually say until the difference seems bigger. Okay, all right, no doubt. But I wonder, and I'm not saying that the difference is huge, because I don't even see a huge difference genetically between humans and primates. But so I'm not saying that the difference is large, but I wonder what was the like how did they measure it? Like when you say the difference between races are small, I wonder how they measured it. Well, they were just talking about skin tone. What were they measuring? You know, when they speak about these differences. You know, because it had to be like of a genetic basis. Hey, how you doing, detached? Thanks for dropping through. But yeah, and the last I would say ethnicity. If it's anything that I'm more tied to, it's that. Um, and I'm not saying these things are all separate. Like there's things like where ethnicity and nationality intertwine. I get that. I get that. Um, because, but that's more like for me because that my ethnic line, like that's where I share like heritage and tradition and culture and like even thought, like how I come to think, how I come to process things. Like, um, yeah, but there's ways where I veer off of that, like with the ethnicity, you know. So out of those three things, like I'm more tied to my ethnic lines and shit like that. But that's not an end all, you know, because I can trump that by saying like before ethnicity comes family, and after family comes community in terms of what you're close to, what you would fuck with, who you would go with. You know what I mean? In terms of where I'm going, where I'm moving. You know, so yeah, because a lot of black Americans will turn against me because I accept science. You see? So yeah, like a lot of black Americans are religious, you know. So they'll like vilify me for not rejecting science and compelling evidence of things. And things where there is a method to test, you know. But if I said like no, like a man could part water or ocean, then I'll be in with them. And if I say yeah, snakes can talk, and yeah, Adam had a belly button, from the garden, like then I'll be in with them. You know, so ignorance is pervasive. You know what I mean? Black Americans being no exclusion. Oh, trust and believe. I know that. I know when I become an enemy because of that. Okay, so let's get it. So yeah, that's how I feel about the ethnic part of it. But okay, so someone did a rant the other day and they was touching on these nasty I didn't see it, but going with granting them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they were speaking the truth. So someone that said some nasty like xenophobic shit to them. But during it, they did this whole I'm gonna call it a flat black ploy, like to flatten our like blackness across the board, and like, oh, blackness is all one thing, and I don't like that. I don't like that, and I think it's kind of insulting. And she went a bit far, like, but I think that's insulting. Like, it honestly it isn't. Like, it's so vast that it's never the same thing. Like, you have different black groups like black people of different ethnic groups. You know what I mean? And I don't like when I feel like someone is like speaking like to the erasure, like particularly of Black Americans. And you actually came out of your mouth and said, and I wonder if it was like a oversight or if you overlooked it, but you was like, we are all immigrants. And I'm like, where are you going with this? Like, I would never come to Jamaica. I just wouldn't. This is me personally, okay? And call the black people there who can trace their lineage back to black people that were taken there by force and brought through the transatlantic slave trade and refer to them as immigrants. I just would never do that. And I just think it was just a bad idea. It was very tacky on your part to do that. So I don't know if it was an oversight or if you don't know what an immigrant is. But like Black Americans like that could trace their roots back to enslaved people in this country are not immigrants. And I just would never come to your nation and say that. I would never insult you that way. So the whole immigration thing, yeah, that's you gotta put that shit in context, and that's a volunteer process. And so like you should just never mix that in the context of people that were taken by force and bred like dogs. Okay? And told when they were gonna have children and shit like that, and who their partners was gonna be. Okay, based on physical attributes. Don't ever do that. And especially when you're talking about the people that built a country and then fought a fucking war and was the only one that fought a fucking war against the government to actually get the Immigration Act in 1964. Don't do that. To allow other black people to be able to migrate here. Black people fought that fight. So that's the history, and yeah, like it's unfortunate that people do the little xenophobic shit, and I try to stay out of it, but like don't hit other people in the process of fighting these people, because that is so insulting. Like, no, like indigenous people who I believe are the Native Americans, just I believe they are the Mongolian people. I don't buy into the aboriginal black thing too much. And that's not to say that black people were not in the Americas. But I don't buy into that, especially like in the populations that they say. Yeah, but I believe there probably was no part of the world, especially during Pangea, when everything was fastened just before the continents broke apart. There probably was no corner of land, because the earth is like what 80% so high like water. It's very little land, but it wasn't until the continents separated and drifted. But when it was one, I don't think there was no angle that black people didn't touch. This is my thought. I don't know. I haven't verified, but I know that my roots are from Africa, because I don't reject science. Okay, to make it seem like I'm saying something deep or some shit. So I did the ancestral DNA. Okay. So if they break it down in percentages and everything, I know exactly where I'm from. I'm not one of them people that search, okay, and making things up as I go along. But that was kind of yeah, like black people are not black Americans, like ADOS people are not immigrants. Like that would be the wrong term. Like we could talk about that and exactly what they is, but that would be the wrong term. That would be the last people in this country you would call immigrant. Okay, these people are the first people on the stock market, not working in the stock market, on the stock market. Okay, as chattel, as a item. Like please. I'm not. Oh yeah, I did miss someone. How you doing, Bat? Thanks for dropping in. Well, I'm about to head out, and that's it though. But I don't like the culture war. And no, I don't think that like I'm a representative of every black person scattered throughout the diaspora. It's called the diaspora for a reason. Like so we all left a spot off those coasts, okay, and some of them are still up to date. That they have today operating as museums. Okay, you know, you ever heard of Gory Gory Island? You know, you guys got to look into these things. I mean, if you're interested, you know, the Gold Coast ports and shit like that, like still operating but as museums today. That they take people. Like I'm aware of where I'm from, and I don't try to mystify it by saying I'm not taking the DNA test because I believe in some government conspiracy that they're really trying to get my cells and test shit. But then if I ask you, are you HIV positive? You say no, you're negative, and I say, how do you know? You say, oh, because I took a saliva test. Same difference. Same difference. You know, and they swab babies when you're born. Like if it was that deep, they already have it. But no, it's to keep up the ignorance. Like I said, ignorance is pervasive, you know. So I don't deny the whole African root. I am rooted in Africa, but that's not my ethnic group. Okay, and I don't go around trying to erase them. That's not what I do. So yeah, like even in how I would beef with them. And yeah, I can't be too sure. You never say never, but I would never jump to certain things. That I don't do. I don't jump to certain things. Some people just kind of jump to the fag term. Like there's no yeah, it's like damn, you just arrived there. Like this how you gonna start out. So like so there's not gonna be any climax, huh? You're not gonna build. But yeah, so no, I don't jump to shit like that. It's like where you getting this shit from? That's it, that's all. I don't want to hold you guys too much. But at least we did cover on 3 terms about nationality, okay, race, okay, and ethnicity, okay, which a lot of black people cannot say. They can't say ethnicity for some reason. They be putting like an extra little syllable up in there. I'm like, what the hell? What is going on? Someone typed HIPAA. Wait a minute, what happened? Wait a minute, what did I miss? With the HIPAA. Wait a minute, let me go back. All right, man. I don't know what I meant, what I was saying at the time. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I had watched an interview with Tevin Campbell by the drummer from The Roots. I actually knew him before The Roots was signed because they're all here in the city, and I used to work a retail position with his mother. But that came later. I knew him before his mother. Once I worked with his mother, I could really never see him again because the Roots them blew up. So it was only stories. I'm like, yeah, I know your son Amir. Anyway, he did an interview with Tevin. I just thought it was interesting because y'all know Tevin don't give interviews like that. I don't know if y'all know about that. Yeah, he don't like to do interviews. But he felt comfortable and he did. Let's see. Let me get to this music. It's like, damn, y'all, like in these little culture wars. Get that shit up. right. This shit is tough already. Here we go. All right, let's get it, y'all. Please, wait a minute, let me read this comment. Including Ancestry and 23andMe, right? And they to put fear in the minds of people to not get it. Like they form all these conspiracies about what the government is secretly trying to do to you because of it. Meanwhile, if you ask them if they're HIV positive, they would tell you no because they got tested using the same saliva samples, in which the DNA can be extracted from saliva. It could be extracted from skin cells. Like it's just a silliness. Again, ignorance is pervasive, and I'm not going. So let's get it, you guys. Please like the video. And my recent analytics told me that 60%. So that means more than half of my regular watchers who watch me regularly, who come here like a couple times a week, if not more, aren't subscribed to me. So please subscribe to my channel. All right. Hey.